This is my life, my song conditioning is so contrived, so much dysfunctioning. What's the recipe for this season?
My approach to songwriting originated from my journal writing. So I would always keep a journal and I would always write material, be it a poem, be it a story. And then I consider myself a student of observing human behavior. So I'm always intrigued and interested in the story, the moral of the story, and also what took place leading up to the story. Even like when I study certain figures' lives, I like hearing how did you develop that? What created the situation, or what was your childhood like to make you the person that you are as the adult where we're seeing you in all your glory. So when it comes to my approach with songwriting, I always want to make sure that I'm not being cliched, but I'm pulling out the meat and the words that make us think, that I'm pulling out information or topics that are things that we want to think about later, or that we want to explore later, investigate. Sometimes we're afraid to talk about things. We're thinking about it all the time, but there's a fear. And so with my material, I like to write things, not so much to be provocative, but to get the conversation started. Healing is very important, and the things we do in life is very important. And a lot of times we just say it and we get over that comfort zone, like we get to that place of our comfort zone and then we bypass it. Great things start to happen in our lives. We see the world from a different place. So that's always my approach when it comes to songwriting.
You can clap your hands if you want to. This song's about staying alive. Not about giving up today, but there was something I knew I had to get to this world someday. So I gave up another chance.
With my single Light, I wrote it back in 2006. During that time, I was going through a very dark period in my life, and my journals were reflecting, and I was being very honest with myself with why I was feeling. I was always feeling numb during that time. I didn't understand why. And I'm a pretty jolly person, but during that time, I could not find my jolly. That's the only way I can explain it. I couldn't find that cheer that I usually have. And I began to write, and what I was learning in my journals was that I was dealing with things that I had pressed down from my past, pressed down from the experiences that I've had in my past. Some things, my parents did get a divorce, and that impacted me very greatly because I enjoyed what I had in my family, and things kind of just it set a different trajectory in my life. I was always creative, but families are a support system, and when things change, something within yourself changes because you're still you. You're still. Even though maybe on paper the family's not what it used to be, you're still physically a family. You got blood in there. You got the same blood, the same everything. And so through life, even though I was still moving forward in life, some things were still going on with inside myself. And I was dealing with wanting love, wanting to understand love, wanting to love myself. And I had to dig deep on what is it that happened there that you lost. And my therapist told me, something happens, you lose what's called your sense of well-being. And that's what I was dealing with in that moment in my life. I was finding myself it was a new environment. I had just moved out on my own. I was exploring, okay, I'm going to be this creative, but I got to learn how to do it. I got to stand, I got to support myself. But it was scary, but it was a different type of fear. I got to get confident within myself. And there was a moment where things got so bleak and dark, I wanted to just give up on everything. And something in me was like, you're in a tunnel, Chanell. It's just dark. It doesn't mean it's over. There is a light. Just focus on the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to get to that rainbow. You're going to find that pot of gold. But if you stop here, you're not. Take off those grave clothes. Take off all the mourning. Take off the depression and find your healing in it. When it comes to the work that I do and how it reaches other people and the experiences that they're having, do I feel that it reaches people? I do. Now I'm 41 years old, and what I'm learning now at 41, I'm starting to really see humanity from a different place. And I'm also a mother. And what I'm noticing now, when I was in my 20s, I would always feel like no one got it. Nobody felt how I was feeling. But now that I'm 41 and I've lived and I've got to be around other people and hear other people's stories, I'm realizing we all are dealing with something. And it's a human experience. We're having this experience and all these things go with it. I always say my motto for my music is creativity and love can heal this world. And I do plan on doing just that with my art. My job as a musician, as an artist, is to, I'll use it, it's almost like being a minister, where I can go out and I can speak about these things to hit something within someone else's heart and soul as well. It's like sharing, like we're going to come to this table of healing and we're going to share for the purposes of not just lamenting it, but to find the healing in it, so we can find our peace, so we can take that thing, that nugget, to not just move on, but so we can take it with us as we go. There's something that happens when we develop the moral of a story. It guides us. It helps shape us. And so with my work and the things that I do with my art, my plan and my the joy from it too, and the inspiration from it is always put it out there, share, because someone else also needs to hear this. This is the very thing that could stop someone from making a wrong decision and guide them to whatever their decision is. You may not be giving them the exact answer, but it'll get them in the ballpark of where it is. And the whole project is basically dealing with conditional love and how it impacts our humanity. And when we find ourselves getting toxic love, sometimes it makes our hearts a little black. So this is called Black Heart on the Table. My latest EP, Black Heart on the Table, I wrote the lead track in 2018. I was dealing with processing all that was going on in the world, both as a Black woman, dealing with being a woman, dealing with just all the uncertainty. There was so much going on with various cases of racism, various things of systemic oppression. Just some of the encounters that I've had even in the corporate world as a Black woman and dealing with microaggressions. So I sat down and I wrote Black Heart on the Table to just capture what I was experiencing. After work, I would find myself coming home and not wanting to go to sleep. I would just kind of stare at the night and stare at the darkness in the room while my son is asleep, and just kind of think of, should life be this hard for me? And am I creating it, or is there something going on around me that's creating it? And as I thought about it, I was like, I need to put my heart on the table. I need to get whatever this is, because it was a, I don't want to say a hardness, but it was just always this barrier or this blockage. And I kept saying, I feel like I just need to put my heart on the table and I need to give it permission to speak. I need to give it permission to say exactly what it is, because there's so much dysfunction. There's so much toxicity continuing to rise up. And in the opening lyrics, I say, this is my life. And a lot of times we have those moments in our lives where we say, this is my life. This is my life. This is how I'm going to live my life, or this is my life. And we'll have some type of phrase, coming after that. For me, what was happening is I kept saying, you know what? I'm living in the midst of a lot of things that happened before I got here, but this is my life. I may be a magical woman. Yes, there's Black girl magic, but I am human and I shouldn't have to bear the brunt of all of these things. I shouldn't have to use my magic to shore up things or fix things. I should be able to live my life just as every other human being does. And so that's where that song comes from. And it is a lament. I do call the first project Black Heart on the Table, a warrior's lament. The full title is Black Heart on the Table, short EP, a warrior's lament. And that's what it is. I take on the character of a warrior, someone who is a veteran, someone who who is an experienced warrior and has been in the trenches, living their life and trying to live their life and navigate through all these various systems, and seeing the generation coming up and seeing what has happened to the generation as a result of all of us trying to live in these various systems and trying to overcome oppression, but not really able to. And so what you're seeing with this first project is a warrior taking their armor off for a second and just standing there and saying, I need to lament and cry, and I need to really assess what we're fighting. Is this fight worth it? Should we be fighting something else, or should we be more strategic with this fight? So that's where the work comes from and the lyrics come from. I do talk about toxicity, I talk about dysfunctionalism, I talk about wanting to see more community and kinship and family and friendship, because the heart overall wants to love, it wants to heal, it wants to be human. It doesn't want to always have on armor and fight.
You're so amazing, and my heart's engaged by you. I stand in awe of
Draw Near to Me. It was marketed as my debut single when I first put it out in 2018. I definitely wrote it in 2005. What I like about that song, Draw Near to Me, it's about getting close to the one you love, but it's also about the connection, the heart. And so what I like about it on the Black Carbon Table first release of the project, even though I'm singing it in that bluesy type style, and it's more neo soul, and it's fun and playful, I feel like I'm giving myself as the warrior permission to say I want to be human. I want to take off my armor. Draw near to me. Every time I make a sound, I know that very thing, that inspiration, that love, community is going to come to me so that we can have that moment. I always call it the water hole moment, where everybody comes together and there's just joy, just various things. Subject matter, you may think it's between a man and a woman, and you could take it that way, or, a significant other. When I wrote it, I was thinking about my art. I was thinking about how I feel about music. I'm a child of the 80s, so I love Prince. I love Michael Jackson. I love just that entire scene. My favorite band is Tony. I love Tracy Chapman. So I love what was happening in a lot of those scenes. And when I'm in that moment of just that musical scene where someone's playing guitar and it's that high energy moment, I feel like that's what's happening when you're saying draw near to me. I feel like that every time I make a sound, you're gonna come closer to me. Every time I make this sound, we're gonna feel something. It's almost like church too. So that's how I feel about draw near to me. The first song I ever wrote was entitled Heartbreaker. I was about 12 or 13. I had formed a little a music group similar to TLC, and so with that we needed material, so I got to writing 12 songs to make an album to see if I could shop something. And the first song I ever wrote was called Heartbreaker. It was about basically a guy who was going around breaking girls' hearts, because in the 90s there were many songs that dealt with just what you were going through in your little relationships, and so it was a puppy love kind of thing. So he's nothing but a heartbreaker, a heart taker. He'll take your heart and throw it away. He's just a heartbreaker, another heart taker. He'll throw it away, girl. Ooh, tell him, Nelsie. That was my stage name when I was a little girl. Was Nelsie C. And our little band we had at the time was called Not Ladylike. So it was a little cute R&B, New Jack Swing type of like girl group, trying to model after TLC. I'm part of a band called the Joy Zone, and it's a duo band that I have. In our music, we are an eclectic band that mixes both rock, punk, and soul. And we basically marry the two ideas that we have from our both experiences and upbringing in music. And the sound that we've created is something, it's not so much that we've never heard it before, but it's very different, quirky, and peculiar. And what I do like about the process is always seeing how those songs come together, because when it's a collaborative project, it's not just me doing it, it's someone else. And so with my bandmate, with that particular project, either I'll have some lyrics or a melody that I'm working on, or he'll have a whole guitar riff that he's been working on and some melodies and ideas, and then we'll kind of just blend them together. We'll sit with it. and I'll say, hey, I like this melody here, or I like this phrase here, and vice versa. And with that project, it's just basically, we always have the phrase, just rock on. It's about finding the joy and then just bringing the ideas and the full creativity together. For me, when I'm working on stuff with the Joy Song, I love everything about the Joy Song, the project, the camaraderie with it, what it does when people hear it, because you've never heard it before. And you're like, what are these guys, what are they about to do? And then, we're Black too, so we're doing punk. Even though a lot of that scene comes from different things, it's like you see us show up and you're like, what are they about to do? And then we do it, it's like, what did I experience? I like it, but what did I experience? So that's where the whole concept of the Joy Stone comes from. So the EP project that we put out, and There Once Was a Band, the lead track, And There Once Was, we wrote that, was that in 2011, 2010-ish? We were having a writer's day, and we were just playing around with different riffs. And Winston, who's my bandmate, started playing the progression. And I kept singing the lead hook very slowly. I kept going, there once was man. And he was like, that's kind of interesting. He was like, I want to speed it up though. And then, so he started the whole speeded the melody part. And I said, okay, I got some lyrics. Let me see what I can figure out. So I started trying to figure out the lyrics. And then he was playing the guitar around with it. He says, okay, I want to put some transitions. Winston really likes The Doors, Nirvana, that type of that type of music, Jimi Hendrix. So when he writes certain songs, he likes to put them in modes and phrases versus, it's still song composition and song and following songwriting, like pre-chorus, chorus, hook, but he likes to have some type of solo instrumental in there in a transition. So when we got to the hook, the only thing I wanted to say was, and there once was, oh yeah, and there once was, and I just followed the progression he went on, and then we just kind of played it back, and we're like, that works. Like, so we just cleaned it up a little bit, fixed any lyrical parts that we had, and that's where that song came from. And every time we share it with other people, they're like, that song is it's like pure rock, of course. But then you hear the other influences in there because it's eclectic. But yeah, I do enjoy that song. Yeah. There are some current musical projects I am working on. Black Heart on the Table is going to be a 3-part installment, where the first one is A Warrior's Lament. The second one is the B-sides of A Warrior's Lament, where I just talk about a couple more topics and subjects surrounding the conversation of putting my Black Heart on the table. And then the last project is called Black Heart on the Table, A Warrior's Reckoning, where I sing songs that are just tying up the lament. I always say it's one thing to have the lament and the cry, but you want to move past that part by finding the solutions and then also finding the healing.
Not about giving up today, but there was something I knew I had to get to this world someday, so I gave up another chance. Can't let this pressure get me down. I just gotta fight and move on. And win this race somehow, and live my life so very strong. 'Cause there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and I know I'm gonna see it someday. There is gold at the end of my rainbow, and I know I'm gonna reach it. No, I'm gonna. How can my body be full of life, yet my soul feel as good as day? dry. Oh no, I'm not gonna lay in that bed. Let me walking looking for a grave. I think not. I still got breath inside. Just let me get one foot to the bay, and I'm running to the light. 'Cause there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and I know I'm gonna see it someday. There is gold at the end of my rainbow, and I know I'm gonna reach it. No, I'm gonna take them grave clothes off, hey, and get out the box. I climb out of this box. Won't be scared. Won't be scared. No, no. 'Cause there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and I know I'm gonna see it someday. There is gold at the end of my rainbow, and I know I'm gonna reach it. No, I'm gonna. There's a light at the end of this tunnel, and I know I'm gonna see it someday. There is gold at the end of my rainbow, and I know I'm gonna reach it. No, I'm gonna reach it. I'm gonna reach it. I'm gonna reach it someday. Reach it someday. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna reach it. I'm gonna reach it someday. Reach it someday.